Hey there, guys. Welcome to Wasteland Games. I just wanted to share this tutorial video on how I built this WarBike. Basically, this is the first one that I put together, and basically the general idea of this was to build like a prototype, and as well as a how-to video for anyone to just kind of replicate it. As much maybe about 80% of the way, and then leave the end as sort of your own creativity. But if you have a decent bits box in terms of course, Hot Wheels and actually Space Marines from Warhammer 40K, you should be able to pull this off fairly easily. And that was the goal for me building this, was so that I can actually do it again and again, and not really have to worry about scrambling for parts. But the way I did it was I can just easily replace a few things here and there, but still get like basically the end result. So as you can see, it's the right scale to standard Hot Wheels car. I made sure that the wheelbase lined up with like one of the actual Hot Wheels cars that I had. And sorry, Hot Wheels motorcycles that I had off of one of the pickup truck cars I had in my collection, and kind of based it off that. And of course, during the video, I'll kind of walk you through what I was thinking in terms of just kind of just laying out the wheelbase and just kind of getting the general structure going. So anyways, let's get started. So I had just decided that I was going to start working on this, so I kind of got a few bits together out of my bits box, and I had some of these just some wheels left over from a Roger Dodger. Actually, it was my Team Canada build, and so they were already kind of primered a little bit. And then originally I was actually thinking of taking a Warhammer like 40K gun itself, and which I may still try to do. Turn one of the large guns into like the base frame of a bike, and then just sort of like glue some wheels to it. But I also was thinking, like, I didn't really want to look like I just took a gun and glued some wheels to it. So I was trying to figure out, okay, how do I build something that represents a bike? And of course, I couldn't really do like an off-road bike, so I thought a WarBike would be better. And then plus I can use any of the Hot Wheels, like the wheels themselves that I have loose, and in a anything that I had replaced with off-road tires, I could just use the regular ones. And of course, off-road tires would look a lot better. So with this being like the quote-unquote prototype model, you could pretty much do whatever you feel like, and then just kind of take it from there. So as you can see, I was just trying to come up with a base design, in terms of like how big the motorcycle is supposed to look, and kind of just use like a little bit of a sketch pad, or actually this is just a piece of card that I always use for building like armor and stuff like that. I have so many of them, so I just use them to doodle on now. So, and I just want to get the general wheelbase right in terms of the size. And you just imagine a driver sitting on a bike and how big he would be versus like how he actually sit in a car. So this is what I was like trying to go through while I was working this out. So yeah, I just thought I'd just try using just regular Hot Wheels. At first, I was going to use like a large one at the back and a smaller one in the front, and I still can do that. Maybe with the next bike that I built, but I thought, well, the small ones would probably be more accurate to like to a motorcycle type of wheel. So I decided to go with those instead. Um, and just kind of laying them out in terms of how I want the bike to look at the end. So this is just really scoping out the overall design. So since this was going to be a war bike, yeah, I just started like kind of just doing a general search. I was always a big fan of the Warhammer Orc war bikes, and then I thought, well, what does a war bike look like if I put a real engine in it, and also what the Terminator bikes look like as well. And I forgot to include a picture here, but the Tron motorcycle as well was also some kind of an influence for the overall design, and I kind of based off some of it off of that as well. And what I was thinking originally was to use the paperclip actually as the chassis, and I might still try to do that. And that's why you can see a paperclip in the image, because it actually was the right wheelbase. And I could also like trace out armor from the paperclip as well. So I just kind of was using the paperclip as a guide for just the wheelbase. And then what I started to think about was I really wanted to use all the Space Marine bits that I have. I have a lot of like torsos and backpacks and pretty much all kinds of full bodies of Space Marines actually. So I mean, instead of building a Space Marine army, I can literally just take the torsos and glue some of the Hot Wheels, like the wheels, to like the both ends of the torso, and then come out with basically a basic frame for the bike. The problem with the front or rear wheel, you have to kind of extend it a little bit. And what I did for this build was I actually glued the front tire into the lower part of the Space Marine torso. And then I was trying to figure out how do I mount the rear wheel. Now, the next one I do, I might actually do it the other way around, where the front wheel is extended from the vehicle, and then the back wheel is part of the part of the bike itself. But in this instance, I made it so that the back wheel is sort of extended away from the body of the, I guess, from the frame of the bike. So as you can see in this picture, basically the back wheel is a little longer than what I expected. So I actually did take it apart again and I cut it, and all that little piece is actually just a corner of a sprue. I found like just use one of those sprue pieces that have like a slight, I guess one end being a little larger than the other, and I just use that. So you can just find a piece of plastic that fits that gap and just put it in there. It could be anything. I mean, it could be this piece of a sprue. It could be something else. Um, now I'm actually looking at trying to figure out how do I build a seat for this thing. It was kind of really bothering me. Like, how do I put a seat in there and make it look kind of realistic at the same time? So I actually took off. It was basically a steering wheel from a shopping cart. I think it's some kind of a large motor shopping cart, Hot Wheels car. You can see it in the background, just some of the bits and pieces of it. But yeah, that part didn't work out as a seat. I was thinking a ladder frame would work. Then I was also thinking, now how do I armor the wheels a little bit? So I actually made this like armor piece that could kind of sit over the back axle, and I might do a variation of this to change the overall look on some of the other bikes, because I was thinking that these bikes are, you could think of it as like there was a big war, and these are parts that were left in a junkyard, and you know the people that found them kind of put them together and just mismatch of whatever. So they could look like anything, just using the base structure, and you can kind of add whatever you feel like, and then change the overall design. So now I'm just trying to figure out how do I twist. I don't know. I kind of in my mind to use the paperclip now to basically make the seat, but also have it kind of wrap around the bike itself. Because I was just thinking it might be easier to make it look like just a better decoration overall, and in the end, I decided not to go that route. But this is what I was thinking during this stage. Okay, so basically, I was still trying to figure out the seat design. I kind of just left it for a few minutes, and then I was looking at how to. Well, I had the loop in mind, but I was thinking like, how am I going to mount it? And then I thought, well, I'll put that on hold, and I try to figure out how am I going to do the exhaust. So I was looking at this. I have these bags of World War II miniatures. I have like a lot of them. So I didn't even buy all the ones I could get. There was a bunch of these at a Value Village several months ago, and I think I got like 4 or 5 bags of them. And there was more at the time. So I think I had enough. I mean, I probably have, I don't know, 5,000 figures. I'm not even sure. But in these bags, there's a lot of like little bits as well. So I had noticed there was a couple of little ones that might work for this in terms of just an exhaust. And I know they were in there. So, oh yeah, and then there was actually this some kind of a coin was in there as well, which I actually never opened these, so I didn't know what was in there. But I was trying to, other than these exhaust pieces were sitting on the outside of the bag that I could see, so open it up just to get these out. And this little piece seemed to work to how I wanted it. And also in the bag, I found this thing, which was just like another gun that I'm going to use for something else. I just thought I'd show it to you guys. This was like me trying to figure out how I was going to do the seat again. I took off this little part off a big sprue, and I actually didn't use it at all. But it could be good for maybe another design, later on. But I was trying to see if it would actually work actually as a seat, or actually, do apologize, the steering wheel. So I was still trying to figure out how to do that. Pretty much was starting to get like a real sense of what I wanted it to end up looking like at the end. So got all sort of like the final pieces down. Originally, this Space Marine shoulder pad, I had it on it and I took it off because I didn't really want it to look like, hey, I just took a bunch of Space Marine parts and I made a motorcycle out of it. But it just kind of, I kept coming back to it because I couldn't figure out how to make that fender at the back. And I thought, well, you know what? It makes sense for this type of build because you're reusing Space Marine parts anyways, to figure out a way to make it work. So that's what I ended up doing with the Space Marine back shoulder pad, was to put it on the back of the vehicle. This one's actually pretty cool because it's one of the old Forge World Red Scorpion shoulder pads. I still have a bunch of them. I actually had an entire army at one point, and I had these over, and I kind of wanted to use them. I actually originally wanted to put them on some cars and just kind of have these like Red Scorpion type of vehicles with those shoulder pads on them. But I thought it'd be great in the end for Gaslands, or sorry, motorcycles. So one side of the standard, basically the Hot Wheels wheel, you'll see like it kind of sticks out a little bit. And I was actually trying to figure out how do I join it to the main part of the bike, and I may come up with a different way of doing it later. But then I was thinking, maybe make like disc brakes, and I was going to cover over the gap. And these are actually split washers. I would prefer if I had regular washers. Like I just was kind of using whatever I had. So I usually, in most cases, if I needed something, I'll just go out to the hardware store and buy like washers that would fit, that are completely flat. They may work better, but they seem to be okay, and I have quite a bit of them. So I thought, well, just use what you have, and kind of recycle as much as you possibly can get. So I ended up just gluing the front one on for the moment, and then I decided I wanted to start working on the seat itself. So yeah, as you can see, I got the loop sort of ready, and I thought, well, I'm going to tape it. I'm going to actually make a seat using. At first, I was going to use green tape, but I've also always had like a desire to use duct tape on one of my cars. For like say one of those cars that have like a broken taillight or no windshield or something like that. I'm going to do that at one point. I'm going to actually take some of this tape and just throw it on the back of a car, just to kind of give it some extra character. But I also thought since it's so sticky, I can, and then the way if I overlap it, I can make a seat out of this thing. So I just took a piece off and took the loop that I built for the seat and proceeded to just wrap it around. So if you're going to do this, this is like an easy way of making a seat out of a paper clip and some tape. So yeah, originally for this video, I was actually planning on building like three different versions of this bike. Now that I had it sort of like in a base design, I started to think about how I was going to build, the next like two or three of them. So I just started drawing like rough sketches of of these bikes. And funny enough, like I actually went out and bought a bought a pizza in between shooting all this, and there's a store right next to the shop that actually has like bike gear, and they had a Bugatti inside. And I kind of was looking at it going, that's interesting. So I was thinking, man, I like to design and build something that looks a little bit more similar to that, but we'll save that to for another day. So yeah, I had I thought when I glued on the seat that maybe I could put like some kind of accessory on in behind it, like say the biker had, I don't know, like some kind of a backpack. So I took the green tape and actually made a little like a satchel, but it didn't work and I didn't like it. So I removed it and basically just reapplied the glue, and this is how the seat looked in the end. But you can kind of do whatever you feel like, if you have like a way to put an accessory at the back, like, yeah, go ahead and do it. I'm still having trouble figuring out how to do the steering wheel. This was a bit that I had found on that big sprue that you saw earlier in the video, and so it's part of a Warhammer tank. But I'm going to maybe come up with a better way of making, something similar. Originally, I was thinking of using the paper clip to make the handlebars and just wrap it with thread. So I might actually try to do that for the next one. It might be just a lot easier to make like a T-bar handlebar and just wrap the ends with like thread. But I like the pistol grip design of these, and this is basically how it turned out. And I was quite pleased with it finally being glued on. So earlier today, I got some mail. Got some mail today with some guns, and I decided to add the anti-aircraft gun to the side, and kind of helped to enhance the look. And the way I balanced it out was I put the machine gun on the one side while the exhaust was on the other side. So just kind of kept the detail balance between the way the bike looked. And then on the other side of the gun, I put a Kroot, an accessory, like a piece of armor, as you can see here. But I had a few other ideas. I had some Imperial armor, Imperial Guard accessories that I was actually going to glue there instead. So it could be anything really. So your choice basically. But the way the main design is really just a couple of tires, Space Marine torso, and a Space Marine shoulder pad get you, pretty close to building a bike yourself. And as you can see, again, its scales pretty nice with these vehicles, and actually it does stand up by itself. So you don't really need a base, but you could, if you choose to do so, and kind of want to, do a pop a wheelie or something. And I really got to get a driver going for some of these things. I'd love to get a 3D printer and start kind of working on stuff like that myself. But right now, this is what I've got to work with, and I'm just kind of, using what I have. So hopefully, guys like this build. Please like and subscribe, and feel free to comment down below what you think of it, and hopefully you're having a great day. Thanks.